Welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream podcast. I am your host, Caroline Georges, and today we have Hank. Oh my God, I forgot your last name.
Hank Chen. Hi.
Hank Chen.
On the Manic Pixie Dream podcast. An honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, even though I forgot your last
That's
name.
okay.
I'm sorry.
It's a very generic last name. Lots of Asians have it.
Do they?
Yes.
No. Okay.
Chen. It's
Chen.
a very big family.
Okay, I'll remember that. So so you are here for our this is going to be our big Pride episode.
Yay!
We're going to talk about Pride and so what are some of your crazy Pride stories? You probably have a few.
You know what? Probably not as much as people would think.
Really? You seem like you would be a lot of fun at Pride.
I would be a lot of fun, and that's probably why I know well enough to stay away. But also, not only is this Pride Month, last month was Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month and Mental Health Awareness Month, so I am just celebrating my time.
Yeah.
Good old 60 days of pure excitement. But Pride, it does. I wonder if it feels like, for you, because for me it feels like the world is even less gay. I don't know if that's me just getting older and me being more comfortable in my own skin, but I remember 5 or 6 years ago I felt protests needed to be necessary.
Yeah.
I was like, let's put rainbow flags everywhere.
Sure.
And now it's like the Gap and Bed Bath & Beyond have rainbow logos, for the month. It like gay marriage is now legal.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris is a thing.
Yeah.
There's a gay character in every TV show. So, I mean, less gay in the fact that it's more normalized and it's less of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's because I remember when I first moved to LA and growing up in Alaska.
What year did you move to LA?
I forget. Oh, it was the year. The first movie I saw in LA was the second Harry Potter.
Oh,
the second.
Goodness!
No.
We were 9
The
years.
second part of the last Harry Potter.
Oh,
sorry, that's what I meant.
7 years.
Yeah,
she moved here in 1991. Guys. Actually, no. Didn't the movie come out in 99, 2001, or something like that? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you've been here for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
It's been 7 years.
Going all right.
Yeah, it's going
puttering along.
Exactly. But you were saying, so with Pride, when you first moved here.
Okay, so in my hometown, it was weird. The gay guys weren't really effeminate or anything like that. They were they worked as fishermen and they worked and stuff like that. And they had there was a theater there and stuff like that. But they wore extra tufts and and jackets and stuff. So you wouldn't really there was no there wasn't a gay identity.
Yes.
In my hometown. So if somebody was gay, you wouldn't really be able to tell but unless they were lesbians, because the lesbians were really butch and
as hell.
And so when I first got here, my first roommate was this girl named Maya, and she painted that.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice job, Maya.
Yeah, so she was my roommate. She was my first roommate, and she was gay, and she told me she was a lesbian. But here's the thing: she was mini skirts, crop tops, heels, makeup,
lipstick lesbian.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember, and this is I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I was I didn't believe her at first. I was just what? No, you're not. Get out of here, silly. And then I met her girlfriend and stuff, and it was just I was being horrible to her. You know what I mean? Out of my ignorance, but it was just I was surprised and stuff. And then so I worked at this restaurant, and then this gay couple came in with their son, and it was they were holding hands. They were this little family and stuff, and it was just kind of and I remember being oh wow, huh, a gay family and stuff. And it was the first time I had seen that. It was literally the first time in my life I had seen that.
It was so you moved here before it had really gotten normalized in the media.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so it was just, but now it is everywhere and stuff. But that I'll never forget, that time I saw that couple, you know what I mean? And it's that was the first time, you know what I mean? Where I saw this is a different, well, it's not different.
It's different than the stereotype. Or
yeah,
what you thought
it's different than what
be.
I was used to seeing. But it was the same thing.
Were you not aware of Ellen and Portia around that time?
A
little bit.
Maybe.
But Ellen is also on such a whole nother stratosphere. I'm not sure how relatable she actually is to the gay experience.
Really? Why so?
Well, I mean, she's very, very famous and very, very rich. I mean, I know her most recent stand-up special is called Relatable, and I think it's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, when you're at that level, Josh, the producer, just went it's okay. Listen, it's an 8 out of 10. Her original one, where it's we all have one thing in common: we're all gay. Yeah, I feel like people's earlier stand-up specials, they put their heart and their soul into it. It's sort of like the material that they've been developing on the road for 10 years all goes into this 1 hour or this half hour. Sorry, we totally veered off a course. But I was going to say Ellen. Yeah, I don't know if I completely identified with her growing up. Maybe because it was because she was a lesbian, and I am not a lesbian. I'm a man. But also, it's similar to like Caitlyn Jenner transitioning. I just thought to myself, goodness, at least she had thankfully for her, she has the resources to be able to transition. She can buy a whole new wardrobe. She can get her hair and makeup done. Yeah. She can get the best doctors and the best medicine, God forbid.
But that's not the average experience.
No. I mean, it sounds expensive.
It is. I mean, you're changing. I mean, it's plastics.
Your biology, plastic surgery and hormones. Surgery
and then you have to do it for the rest of your life. And it's like, you know what Dave Chappelle said. It's like, I believe you. You know what I mean? Like, look what you're going through. You know. Right. And so I think that's like, I kind of second that. Like, I believe you. You know, like you really are this person. You know, and you're willing to you're willing to sacrifice a lot to be who you really are. You know.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's same thing with coming out too, because I was raised very religious.
Sure.
And so there was a lot of fear in coming out that the world and the identity that I knew would reject the person that I really was. And I did everything I could to really fight that. Like probably people in your hometown. I don't know how naturally butch all of them were, but I bet you they all learned that behavior in order to fit in and not get lynched and end up in a ditch in the street or something.
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, it was even like, I mean, my one of my earlier mentors, I had this drama teacher named David, and David was like, actually David was who my dad was pretty homophobic, and then he met David, and we would give David rides home after class.
Oh, nice.
And stuff. And then so my dad and David would just sit in the front seat of the car and just talk and that sort of thing. And then my dad was just kind of like, David's really nice. You know, like David's a really nice guy.
Did he know that David was gay?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously.
Got it. So your dad sort of like warmed up to him.
Yeah, exactly. Giving David rides home. And then, but I don't know, like it was one of those things where he just like never, I thought this was weird. He really liked kids and he did like the summer theater program for kids and that sort of thing. And he, you know, you just like, he really loved children. Yeah. And I remember asking him like if he wanted to be a dad, and he was just like, I don't know, I've never thought about it before. And I just thought that was so bizarre that like this man who clearly had an affection for children, you know, and was good with kids, you know, never even thought about being a father.
How old was he?
He was like in his early 30s.
It could also be that gay men of that generation, because I know what it was like when I was growing up. Like, you know, I have a boyfriend now.
Yeah,
I don't walk around the streets of LA being afraid of getting hate crimes.
Yeah.
And that's not the life that I imagined for myself 10 years ago. You know, just growing up, because I felt like every gay character on television, if they weren't, you know, Will from Will and Grace, or I'm sorry, Jack from Will and Grace, they were, you know, a victim on NYPD Blue or CSI.
Sure.
It just seemed like you had a target on your back, and life was just going to be that much harder for you. And I would say that it's not necessarily been a walk in the park. But for someone like this drama teacher, I mean, I would imagine he probably grew up, you know, as a teenager and came into his own sexuality and identity maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, if that. And that was probably an even harder time. And for sure, back then, I don't think society was supportive of the concept of a gay couple adopting a child. And so sometimes you just give up the dream, I think. Yeah. Right? You from a younger age. So it's interesting that your father asked him that. Or you asked him that.
I asked him.
I mean, have you stayed in touch with him on Facebook? Does he?
We were, and then I canceled I started going to school, and then like and then after I started going to school, I canceled my Facebook for a really long time, and then I never
That's smart.
got him back. But he lives in like Chicago now, and stuff, and he's like, you know, doing theater out
I'm
there.
sure he's living his best life in Chicago. Chicago has quite the gay scene.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's a dad. Like, I wonder if he's a father now.
I don't know. Maybe we should find out. Let's do a part 2 on this. Let's do a follow up.
Let's look up David.
That'd be very interesting. Have him call in. David, how you doing? It's me, Caroline. Do you remember me?
That would be hilarious.
Remember that time when I asked you about kids? We'll see. He might.
He might. You know, he really did love kids. You know, and it's just I just
in like a non creepy way, right?
No.
He liked teens, and he liked mentoring.
Yeah, he was very good with kids.
Good.
Yeah, But like I think like for like the second graders, he did like a with all these like second grade girls, he did like Steel Magnolias.
Oh,
yeah, it was really cute.
That is he is so gay. Oh, that is very sweet.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, that's David. But oh no,
we just had a moment.
We did.
We just looked at each other's beautiful eyes, had a moment. I also thought you were about to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, okay. So
do you have a question for me?
So you've experienced some domestic violence.
I have. Wow, what a sharp left turn. Yes,
sorry.
I have. No, that's fine.
I have two.
Speaking of raising children.
Yeah.
Yeah. I in the fall of 2017, I was in a bad situation.
Oh no.
With someone who escalated physical violence against me. And then it wasn't until he slapped me in the face where I was like, I think I have to get out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it led to me filing a police report. Good. And thankfully I had like screenshots of him apologizing for slapping me with some like really dumb excuse. But through that experience, I learned how to take responsibility for my own actions because you cannot control what anybody else wants or does. And I look back, and granted, I'm not excusing his behavior, but I look back and I see how I put myself in these bad situations.
Sure.
So when I see crazy coming, instead of crossing the street, I run towards it.
Right.
I say I can save you, I can help you, and you put yourself in harm's way versus sidestepping that and just going on about your life. And it's a habit that was very much ingrained in me. It was a childhood survival skill because when you were a child and you were constantly being bullied and mistreated, where were you going to go? This was your school. This was your family. This was, you had to have this very high tolerance for discomfort and for pain if you were going to survive. And I now have to retrain myself as an adult that actually I don't need to put up with this shit. I can leave. I can walk away. And also I can go towards relationships and people that are good for me because those do exist. And that took me a little while to realize as well, because I put up with so much discomfort for such a long time, being raised religious and being raised conservative, that I felt like, well, this is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
These are the types of people that are out there. They say they love me. They say they have their best interest in mind. And so it's a very confusing, complex, contorted way of viewing.
It was the kind of love that made sense to you at the time.
Exactly. And I still fall into that trap a little bit now. I'm actually a little weary of when people say I love you, like not in like, because LA people will say your barista will tell you he loves you if you give him a $2 tip. That's fine. I'm not like, I don't believe you, but I mean like I'm right now having like a slow, not even like a falling out, just a friend and I, we've been parting ways for quite a while, and it's just like he doesn't have the balls to just tell me he's just not that into the friendship anymore. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of like flaking out or canceling plans or like not following through on promises. And I Josh, what are you laughing at? You're laughing at me and my falling out? Right? Yeah, they don't have the Josh, are you someone that you would have the balls to be like, hey bro, I'm not into it anymore? No. Oh, you're okay. You know what? I will be weary if Josh and I get any closer. That I will take a hint. If Josh decides to not reply to a text, I will just leave it alone. That, you know what okay, so let me wrap it back up. So let me bring it back around. So the friend who I've now been like, okay, you know what? I can take a hint because but I can't you don't know him. But he's kind of in the periphery of our circles. But I'm just like, it's become painful. But every time I do a little confrontation, not even confrontation, where it's like, hey, you want to grab a coffee? And now I'm like, okay, what are the chances that you're going to cancel? And then he'll be like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. I've just been this and that and tired, and other relationships suffered too, work, and it's the whole thing. Yeah. And I feel like I've had this conversation countless of times of him disappointing and then apologizing. And then in that sentence, he'll be like, you're my bro and I love you. And I'm just kind of like, don't say that, because I know he's saying I love you to temper the fact that he's disappointing me. Yeah. Because it's like, babe, I know what I'm doing is upsetting you. but I love you. And that actually messes with your mind, because that's the type of love that I identify with as a child, to have my parents reject me for being gay, or to tell me, or to, you know, I was disciplined, you know, physically as a child as well. And it was always very confusing to be like spanked or to be hit, and then afterwards to be like soothed and consoled and to be told that you were loved by the same person who just hit you. And I know that that's why I went and gravitated towards the adult relationships that I did. And I have to separate that, you know, discipline is one thing, but that's not how you should feel in a love relationship. So yeah, I mean, this is a friend relationship. This is a friend relationship. I promise. It sounds very intimate, but no.
I would just say,
yeah.
Like, there are definitely times where I'm just like, I just need a break from this person. I do love this person, but
also,
yeah, that's fine. But if you do it 5 times in a row. It makes it a little wild. I will say that there was someone who I dropped as a friend because he'd said something that was I just couldn't get over, and it was more of like a character defect in him, and it wasn't something that I felt like I could even really bring up to be like, you said this, and because it wasn't a conversation where like I needed him to defend it or justify it or deny it. It was just like, I can't believe you just said that. And so I just sort of clocked to that, and I just sort of pulled away, and, you know, something, you know, there was still a little bit like,
what did they say?
it was something that was, it was a subtle jab at me, but then there was other stuff as well that sort of exposed maybe their real intention of wanting to be friends with me. I think also, you know, sometimes when people like just sort of show their true colors a little bit, you're like, that's interesting. But what I did was, instead of being like, hey, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because X, Y, and Z, because you're right, it would have been very intense and very dramatic. Yeah. I just, like, you know, when he was like, let's hang out and do this, I'd be like, I can't, I'm not available to do it this weekend. You know, I wouldn't just ghost. I would reply and just not make a commitment. Yeah. But I think it would have been shitty on my part if I'd been like, great, let's do this, and then like to cancel an hour before, or to be like,
people do that a lot in LA,
or to still be like, I love you, like, yeah, bro, I miss you so much. Like, I wasn't doing any of that anymore, because I was like,
being straightforward and intentional with your friendships is important, you know. And I think people aren't really like that much. You know?
I try not to. My whole thing is, if you make a commitment, I think people should follow through. And it's corny to say, but rejection is God's protection, truly. So if someone were to cancel, for instance, this podcast took some rescheduling, right? So it, like, you asked me and booked through Josh, and then you know, I had to reschedule because of a personal circumstance, and Josh just accepted it, you know. But I did say to him, I said, hey, you know, when I figure this out, I will reach back out to you. And because I meant it, I did. Yeah. But also, I think Josh is cool and adult enough to and you as well, that it's like, oh yeah, no, Hank, you know, scheduled, and then he just didn't cancel. You'd be like, just leave it alone. Because you probably don't want to guest on your podcast that doesn't really want to be here. There's no reason in forcing someone to be in that situation. So same thing. You don't want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't really want to be in that relationship. You don't want to be in a friendship with someone who doesn't really want to be friends with you. Sure. So I'd rather just leave things be, I think. I'm still trying to find that little balance, because I know that when I was younger, oh my God, like, the diatribes of you hurt my feelings and this and this and this and just a list of grievances. And I'm having people break up with me in the same way too, like friend breakups of like, I miss the Hank who is this, and you've disappointed me and you hurt me. It's just what do you do with an email list of like grievances? It's like, I can't even reply to any of this. Whereas if they had tried to bring it up and work it out,
I know I've had a history of canceling plans and not being, well, I guess what I'd say is like not being intentional with my friendships.
You can cancel plans. I'm all about people changing their mind.
You know, I think when I was in the habit of doing that, I was depressed and I had depression and stuff. And so it was like, it wasn't like I didn't want to see that person. It wasn't like it was just I didn't have the energy and stuff. And I knew that like if I were to get together with them, I wouldn't drained. Be fun.
Yeah, that's okay. This is what I'm saying. That's okay to actually.
But
I like it when people
and there's
change
some
their
people
mind.
that are close enough to me to know that like, hey, I'm really depressed today. I really am so tired today and stuff. And I just and there are people that are close enough to me to know how I struggle sometimes. And so you know, but yeah, like
you were in some bad situations too, weren't you?
Yeah. I really fell into my depression after my ex. I was raped in my relationship, and then it ended with like violently and stuff. And it was weird. Like I got over it right away at first. Like I was just like, this is just something like, I don't know. Like I always took a lot of pride in myself about how like I could get up, get knocked down, get back up again and stuff. And I was just this strong person, nothing's going to take me down and stuff. And so I wanted to go about that situation like it was like that. Like
I'm a survivor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I and I don't know, in a weird way, like those situations would give me energy, like I would like, I'm going to show this person, I'm going to act like this never happened. I'm going to go to class and I'm going to get straight A's in all my classes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I could use it as like a fuel to the fire and stuff. And I think I could, like I've done so much with my life in spite of people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, fuck you. You do this to me. Well, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? And so I started comedy. I started doing stand up to spite people, and it was
to have a venue.
Yeah. And so
I'm going to talk about you on stage. Keep at it.
I know. Exactly. And and so I wanted it to be that. I wanted it to be, it happened and it was horrible, but I'm going to show him, I'm going to rise above this and I'm going to kill it and stuff. And that didn't happen. It slowly started to wear me down. I was having trouble processing it. I don't know. I had trouble like, talking about it in therapy, and I don't think I don't think my therapist took the situation too seriously because I've been through so much, you know what I mean? And so it was just, and I know that my attitude towards it was just like, oh, well, we were in bed and then he said he wanted to do this and I said yes. And then all of a sudden it got out of hand and he wouldn't stop and I was crying and I was screaming, and it was just like, and I talk about it like that, and it was just like, cause that's how you can get it out.
Sure.
And I think with comedy, there's a lot of pain in people's comedy, and it's like, cause if you say it like you would to a therapist, like, well, my dad used to beat me, you know what I mean? It's going to hurt more. But when you do it in comedy and you're making people laugh and that sort of thing, it's like it becomes like this, plethora of like positive energy, within you, And some of the jokes that I talk about with stripping and stuff like that, like there's a joke I talk about where like there's this girl who wanted to commit suicide, and and then the punchline is like, don't do it. You have so much to live for, even though she really doesn't. But it's like, I really feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel so bad for this girl and what she goes through, and just and I worry about her so much. And so I can tell a joke, you know what I mean, that explains her situation, and it's funny and stuff. And people, are smart enough and compassionate enough to be compassionate towards her in the joke, you know what I mean? But still laugh at like, the punchline,
Right.
And so I guess just like talking about stripping and stuff. But the thing is that like domestic violence isn't funny. Like there's just some things you just can't, like I just can't make domestic violence funny. Like
I mean, I can. You've seen my set on it.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Well,
how do you do that?
But everyone processes things differently. And it's not to make light of anybody's situation.
Right.
I suppose, and I don't make any blanket statements about domestic violence. I just talk about my situation, and also I don't tell people when to laugh. Like I think one one of my, not even a joke, I just say, I'm actually grateful that he hit me because he literally slapped some sense into me, and I left him, and people and people clap, people laugh. But it's just me telling my truth and trying to maybe have a clever spin on it where I get to take ownership of the situation and for myself, because I can understand going into entertainment and going into stand-up wanting to stick it to the man or prove this person wrong, prove that person wrong. I've realized that you don't get gratification from doing that. You only get gratification from doing things for yourself. So I am the most important person in my life, and so I am not going to I don't want to live to spite somebody else, because
Yeah.
that's just living in my past.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that has happened to me in my life is fair use for me to talk about. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
That's come at me.
Well, I mean, you are representing something that isn't seen.
Male victim of domestic violence.
And well, yeah, and then also, I mean, because I feel like with man and woman relationships and stuff, when the domestic violence happens, it's very clear. You know what I mean? The man hits the woman's weaker than the man, and stuff like that.
I mean, sometimes the reverse happens too, and the men don't get the due that they're
right.
That
that is very true.
Yeah,
that is very true. And I've met men who've been victims of domestic violence in their straight relationships.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
they feel they don't know if people will believe them. They don't. Yeah, they're afraid to hit back because they know what it would look like. So the woman really abuses them, or it's like psychological stuff. Yeah, and then between two men. Sorry, were you gonna?
Oh no. I mean but what you talk about isn't seen. People don't really think about domestic violence is just as common in gay relationships as they are in straight ones.
I don't know if it's just as common, but it definitely happens, and that's the important thing that you. Or when you say it's not seen as an outsider, as a straight person, did you not really have the awareness that domestic violence happens in gay relationships?
Well, I was in a group for a minute, and I met a woman who was married to another woman, and there was and she was there. It was a survivors group.
Wow.
And so she said that like she was bisexual. She identified as bisexual, but she was still married to a woman, and so she was in the same sex relationship.
Right.
And they were monogamous and stuff, and so, but then the her wife. At like a New Year's Eve party or something like that, or like she said, it would be really funny if you kiss this guy, and she started like telling her wife that she should, surprise this guy and kiss this guy. And so the girl like agreed to it, you know what I mean? And then in the car later, after it happened, her wife was just like, "You looked like you enjoyed that. Like that was cheating."
What a trap!
I know exactly. It was just like this. I mean, it was just like this horrible, like one of the most brazen examples of gaslighting I can think of.
Completely.
Yeah. And so But so what happened was how it ended was she like literally woke up to her like stomping on her face. She like kicked her face while she was asleep, and it was and I forget what happened that caused that. I mean, probably nothing, and
no, it was not. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's all about you. No one doesn't. You choose how you want to react to things and people.
Yeah.
She chose to hit her partner.
Yeah.
She chose to stomp on her partner's face.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Josh, did your eardrums just blow out? Sorry. My question is did she reveal what the earlier red flags were? Because your partner never doesn't hit you on the second date. They don't rape you the first night.
I think they got into the relationship really fast. I think they were married after a few months of being together. I think they moved in after a few weeks of being together.
Lesbians.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's actually they moved really fast and stuff. And so I've never gone so far as to like, I've never gotten like a place with a guy. I've lived with guys I've dated before, like just, I just sort of move in, play house,
Right.
I did that a few times.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but I would never like think of moving in with somebody after a few weeks,
That's intense. That's intense.
And I don't know. I wonder, like, when girls fall in love, and I bet straight girls would want to move in with somebody after 3 weeks too. You know what I mean?
But if it's platonic,
yeah,
I think that's fine, because that's like literally the college and like early 20s situation where it's like you seem cool, I seem cool.
Yeah.
You do the dishes. You're not too loud at night.
Yeah.
This is how loud the TV can be turned on. You're cool. Great. Let's live together.
Yeah.
It's not like, are we sexually compatible? Do you taste good? Do you think our parents are going to like each other? Can I see myself having babies? Like, there's none of that, because everything is pretty short term.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I believe, because I used to, not used to, I'll say this is my disease. I'm a bit of a fantasy addict, because
Me too.
I will put my hopes and dreams onto somebody or a situation,
I have a big problem with projecting my fantasies onto guys. A really big problem with it.
I do with a lot of things though. Like I'd be like, oh, this piece of luggage will change my life. Will make me feel like a rock star. Will you know what? Sometimes it does work with shoes. Sometimes shoes do make you stand taller and walk more confident.
Yeah,
sometimes I will say those that's not a projection. That's fact.
It's like
shoes work.
It's
Some
like our
boots.
minds start marketing somebody to us as being like, we start like selling this person to ourselves as being like this and this thing, because that's what you want. You know what I mean? That person can, reflect that a little bit with their, with their actions and behavior, but you don't know that if that's really truly who they are.
Right. And what it is you're giving them credit for all of these things that they haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Like I even think of like life situations. Like you ever like have a job where I've done some TV, and when I first broke in, I was like, this is it. It's gonna change my life. I'm gonna be amazing. Everyone's gonna see me, and I'm gonna feel so. And you get a little buzz. Then you cash your check. And then you're unemployed again, you know? So and you think that's something, and that was me projecting all of my fantasies onto this situation, hoping for an outcome that had not yet happened. And with people, same thing. I was always trying to get the guy who would look great on paper, would look great in the photos, look great for my parents because, God forbid they have to, accept me as, accept a son who's gay, but they weren't great for me. And then as we spiraled, as it became more and more evident that we weren't compatible and we weren't great for each other, instead of being like, oh, well, that's what dating's for, we've discovered that this isn't going to work out. I latch on even tighter and try to force a solution and try to make something happen that's really not meant to happen. And also the circumstances have already revealed themselves that this is not a compatible relationship.
Yeah.
And that just never ends well. Never ends well. And it hasn't ever ended well. So so that's, I projected my fantasy, and you used to do that too with the guys. Yeah,
well, I mean, I dated this guy, and so I was living in this hostel, and so while we were dating, it just like
hostel life is fun. I did hostels in Europe.
They're exciting.
Yeah, but not for long term. Were you in there for a while?
I was kind of functioning that way for a while.
Cool.
They were cheap.
Yeah.
Like, $30 a week, $40 a week.
Right.
And but the problem was I lived in this one that was particularly bad, because all that has to happen is one meth addict has to move in. You know what I mean? Like that's all that has to happen.
One rotten egg spoils the whole batch.
Exactly. And so it was so I was in this living situation, and so I think what happened was this girl who was on the because we had bunk beds, and so in the girls' room I was in this bunk bed.
There's like 8 people in a room, right?
Yeah, 8 people in a room, and so the girl underneath me brought a guy into the room, and she was like fucking this guy right underneath me on this bunk bed. I was just like, I am not the kind of person who would just sit by and let that happen. You know what I mean? And so like all of the other girls in the room started freaking out, so we were all like screaming at them to stop, and like it was just like this anyways, and so I was dating this guy at the time, and I told him about it, you know what I mean? And he was just like, why don't you just stay with me? And so I was just like, so this guy, like, he was a trust fund kid, money is green paper. What is it? He was from Morocco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, he asked me to just move in with him downtown in this really great apartment downtown. And so I was just like, yes, of course. And so
it was your way out. It was an escape.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just played house. Like I cleaned, like he had a cleaning service and stuff, but like I cleaned, I cooked, like we spent all this time together and stuff. And, and then what happened was he was just sort of a jerk, and so I needed toilet paper. So I was on the toilet. I needed toilet paper. And so the toilet paper was in the hall closet, and he made me wait until the show he was watching went to commercial. And I was like just really pissed and stuff, and he was just like, you have no right to complain.
What a power move. What a weird.
I know. Yeah, exactly. And so it was just like this, and it was just like, and he's right. Like, I mean, it's just like, I'm staying at his place, I'm eating his food, I'm using his electricity, I'm, like, this is, he can just do whatever he wants.
Sure, he's right, but that wasn't kind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, actually, I take it back. It wasn't right because nothing really gives you permission to disrespect like the dignity of another human being.
Yeah.
Like I can walk by someone who's like homeless on the street and like like, you know, yeah, he's like impeding my like sidewalk, but do I stomp his tent down? No,
Yeah.
I walk around his tent. Like that's not. I would be right to move his tent because it's a violation. It's a code violation, but I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go about my life. You know, I'm gonna say a little prayer and we move on. So yes, you were there, but also he put himself in that situation as well. See, this is. Yeah, I think it sounds like a situation that both of you did not think long. You didn't think exactly what you were getting into, and I find myself in those situations all the time. You know, being like, oh, this person would look great, you know, on paper. He would impress people. He's so hot.
And he did. Like, I mean, he had so much. I mean, I came here with the dream of like marrying a rich guy. You know, I really.
You and lots of other people.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So that was my dream. I wanted to marry a rich guy. And so I just sort of thought like maybe this is it. Maybe this is the rich guy I'm supposed to marry.
Is that still the dream?
I think I don't know. I mean, it's. I mean,
you wouldn't say no if the
hope
right guy came along.
I
You
hope
wouldn't
he
say
has
no.
money. I don't know. I don't know. I can't.
They got to be able to support. Look, they got to be able to support me. You know what I mean? Like, you want a rich guy? You know, money helps a lot of things. It doesn't buy happiness, but it sends your kids to Montessori. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
It gets a car service.
Well,
Beautiful, rich, smart, kind.
Smart, beautiful, rich, kind woman. Ask no more. She is here. I'm gonna leave you two alone, Josh. Why don't you sit right here?
well, I mean, I guess the whole dream of marrying a rich guy and stuff is like the security, and I want to.
Sure.
I want to be I don't know. I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I want to.
Yeah.
That was sort of. That's. I mean, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah, I want to. I want to. I want to have. I really want to have kids. Like, I really want to have children and stuff, even though I seem like probably the worst person in the world to be a mother. But like,
I wouldn't worry about what other people think.
But if I am being a mother, I probably should have full-time commitment to it to be a good mother. You know what I mean? Especially me. You know what I mean? I just don't think I could be a good mother and be doing other things. You know what I mean?
Got it. And so you need a benefactor. You need someone to support you.
Yeah.
I think, you know,
and so that was sort of like my dream, I guess.
Well, you know what's interesting? It sounds like you're actually like very clear in what you want. And quite frankly, I don't see anything wrong with that because I think there are guys out there who work a lot, love their work, would love a family, would love a beautiful, committed wife to take care of their family.
I know. Who used to be a stripper and like, I don't know. Like sometimes I'm like, I just think about just.
Let's not worry about our past. Look at turn on any of these Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I feel like half of them have sex tapes. You know?
Really?
Like, yes.
Oh, that's motivating for me.
Yes. Any of these.
That's.
You never know.
I would be great on that show, by the way. I would get so into it if I was a Real Housewife of Hollywood. I would be the bad guy. I would be like, I want to be the bad guy. Make me the bad guy in this show.
Like, let's talk. You really hurt my feelings and then you flip a table, throw a bottle of wine. Andy, was that good? Let's do it again. Let's start again. Let's do it again.
I would do it. I would be the Daniel Day-Lewis of
I
would.
Yes. Well, I can't wait to watch your season.
I know. I just have to find a guy that lives in Beverly Hills.
Or Orange County or Atlanta or
that's right. A lot of them don't even live in Beverly Hills.
They're all over.
Yeah.
Or is it what's like the girlfriends of like basketball players? There's an acronym.
Oh yeah.
What's it? I forgot. I don't know.
I don't know it either.
There's an acronym, but there's a show about that. But do you look? If that's what you want to do,
a basketball player.
Look, I completely, you know, at least you're really clear in what you want. Quite frankly, I thought that was a dream of mine too, and I just realized I wasn't good at it. Like I think the one time I like had the opportunity to get sugared, I lost money. Like I was like, how did I end up paying?
How did that happen?
It was this like really this well-to-do founder of a very big company that sold for a lot of money asked me out.
Okay.
And not quite my type, but like he knew what he was doing with his like Porsche and giving me his card with his like name and his like business, whatever. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if anything, this will be a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And so I emailed him. I was like, nice to meet you today. And he emailed me back. He asked me out to lunch immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We set up like a lunch the next week, and he told me to meet him at this place in Beverly Hills. and it was this. It's like a place where like the Paps are always there for like dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Taylor Swift, like just
Sure.
it's just a place to see and be seen. So I was there for lunch, so it was pretty relatively empty. I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I sat down early and I just ordered a drink. It was $18. This drink that I ordered at the bar, and then what happened was he was running late, and then
No, he stood you up.
No, he didn't stand me up. So he showed up, and what ended up happening was I just paid for my own drink at the bar, and then I went to just because it's like separate, right? The bartender would get tips separately. Your server, your bartender. I used to work in food service, so I just paid it out. And then I sat down and had like a lovely dinner with him. Or not dinner, it was a lunch. I think I had some, I don't know. It was good. I mean, it was some like plate of noodles with like butter, but like veal. It was very good.
Yeah.
It was like $50. And then when the bill came, he just took out like a wad of hundreds and just laid one down. And that was it. And it never really went any further, but I was like, how did I lose money on this?
Okay.
I was like, wow, I really squandered my chance.
Let me
tell you. But I
you.
realized too, though I'm much better earning, I feel better when I earn my own money. And you know, and also not trying to take what someone else has done, because quite frankly, I really admired the fact that he had founded his own company and sold it. And I think, and I would like to do that one day. I would like to build, you know, sort of like what you're doing now, building your podcast and building your brand and putting yourself out there. You know, be the CEO of your own company. You know, I'm building
CEO, I love that.
building up my company, I'm building my resume, and I get more gratification earning that versus trying to like scheme how to take it from somebody else. Because I knew also I didn't want to be in a relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
But I was very curious. I was like, well, if I could have a really interesting conversation with this like founder of this big company who sold it for almost $100 million, who like obviously thinks I'm cute, and if he decides to drop me, a couple of dollar bills, I won't complain. I didn't get any of that. I got a nice conversation though.
If you want to be a sugar baby,
so I paid,
and
so
if that's what you want to do
for a good conversation.
Oh, okay, good. Well, at least you got a good conversation.
Yes.
If you want to be a sugar baby, this is probably the etiquette that I can.
What's the etiquette?
Okay, you have to ask for.
I also think I've aged out of it too. They want a 17-year-old, don't they?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't.
Do you find that people go to strip clubs because I went to a strip club when I was in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
That was fun. I think it was Pink Pony.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like adult Disneyland. I went to one strip club and it was rowdy. I was like, the fluorescent lights were brighter than a Target.
Yeah.
And it was just naked girls and all types of business everywhere and all types of people. I was like, this, I mean, it felt like adult Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a party. No one's depressed here. Or no one's outwardly showing it, if anything. Seemed like there were a lot of groups,
Yeah. Well, I worked at Deja Vu, and I wasn't able to make much money.
This
there.
is LA?
That was,
Okay.
And that was like a big club where they would get lots of clientele every night and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
But they're just there to watch the stage and that sort of thing. So like, it's a stage club, and so I'm not terribly. I don't do pole tricks. You know what I mean? I do mostly floor work. You know what I mean?
Just talking and companionship.
Yeah.
And, like lap dance.
Yeah, dance.
Selling like the shots.
Yeah, but on stage, like I just get on all fours and crawl around.
That's
and just
hilarious.
Try and look sexy. That's what I do.
I have a question. Is it Jumbo Clown Room? Is that technically a strip club?
It is.
It's a burlesque club.
It's a burlesque club. No, it's a sports bar.
Sports bar with a pole.
Well, no, not a sports bar. What do they call that? It's a. I don't know. I forgot.
I'm trying to think.
It's a different thing. It's
when
a different environment.
I was going to say it's not, because that was also fun, rowdy, frowdy.
Yeah.
Frowdy. Have you been, Josh? Jumbo's Clown Room? That's
you can be topless because there are a couple of clubs that do sell alcohol. You can't be fully nude, so you can be topless. And then you to give a lap dance, you have to have both feet on the ground. And then no touching. And then the lap dance area is very out in the open. You know what I mean? Where
Public.
they can see everything.
Got it.
You know what
For
I mean?
the safety.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And so, I mean, but honestly,
those girls were talented. Those at Jumbo Club. This one girl went from the top and she landed on a split. She slammed her vagina into the ground. Slammed it into like thighs on the. I'm sure when she got up there was a suction. Like I just slammed. I said, Take my money. Take my money. What do I have on me? $4. Can you make change? You know, I can take it all.
Yeah.
It's a Josh. Let's go to the jumbo clown room.
We should. I would love to.
that'd be
I haven't been to
fun.
a strip club in a long time.
We can ask them what their rules are. Wait, so topless with no alcohol or alcohol with no? That's what I'm thinking. So I don't know if it's a strip club, but it was rowdy and it was fun. It didn't seem like it was full of depressed people. Sure was. Sure is. So you don't do pole tricks.
No.
You ever think about going to a class, like go to like Equinox or something, take pole?
I have taken a class.
Strengthening.
So I can do some basic stuff. But the thing is, unless like you're like good at it and stuff, you kind of look ridiculous doing it.
That shit looks dangerous.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's the thing. It's really difficult.
You will break your neck.
I know.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's just easier for me to get on all fours and just be like, hello, boy. You know, like do
Right.
that and stuff, you know. But
Or just to like whisper in their ear and like pull cash from their pocket.
I know. I've never done that before.
Oh, I think that'd be stealing. I feel like there's all these rules of consent and laws and stuff.
There are girls that are bold enough to do that. And there was this girl, she stole a shit ton of cash from this guy right out of his wallet and ran to the dressing room to hide in the dressing room. And she was like, I'm so scared. He's going to find out it's missing. He's going to know it's me.
Did she steal it or was she like, come on, baby?
I think the guy was
take it in front of their faces.
The thing is, a lot of the guys that come in there are really fucked up, you know, so they're not, you know, they're distracted by this beautiful face in front of them, you know what I mean? And so like, then they don't see, like, they have their wallet out to the side of them or something like that, or they take out their wallet during the dance to be more comfortable or something, and then she just dives down for it.
That's not ethical. But I also feel like if you walk into that place, it's what you sign up for. You are going in there for an escape.
It's gypsies, tramps, and thieves. You know what I mean? Strip clubs are, you know.
I would support everything that's legal. So the stealing is clearly like not cool. But everything else, if it's the chief you're on the floor. I mean, just everything that's kosher and regulated, and everyone's a consenting adult. Go for it. I think we talked about this earlier. I am a huge fan of legalizing sex work because it's the world's oldest profession. It's going to happen regardless. And I would, and Josh too, because Josh would like discounted rates. He would like, I don't know, Josh, if they unionize, I don't know, those would be some premium rates, but at least they'll be standard.
Well,
if they're unionized.
Also, I mean, it's just, there are some women, I mean, like the way they do it in Brazil actually has a really fascinating.
Is it unionized or organized or whatever?
It's legalized, but
like Amsterdam?
Yeah. But here's the law they have in Brazil that I actually think is really smart. They have men can't solicit from prostitutes. So say you were on vacation and you wanted in Brazil and you wanted to sleep with a prostitute. Yeah. If a woman came up with you, say like hypothetically you wanted to sleep
I've been to Brazil and nobody tried to solicit me. Excuse me, what am I, chopped liver? Do I not look like I have money?
Well, like women can go up to you and say like, "Hey, for $300 I'll suck your dick." You know what I mean?
You want a party?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that's
LA
legal.
Term. Yeah.
But men can't go up to women and say, "Hey, I'll give you $300 if you suck my dick." So I think that's actually a good way of going about it. You know what I mean?
It's like the Bumble of prostitution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, and so also like, I mean, if you're at a nightclub, say you're at a nightclub and some drunk guy wants to take you home, you know what I mean? A girl can be like, I don't want to sleep with you unless you give me money. You know what I mean?
First right of refusal.
Yeah, exactly, or something like that. You know, then that's the way that it can happen. But that alcohol has caused problems for strippers because it's like limited business and that sort of thing. The guys come in drunk anyway. And so, I mean, it's just, and then also like, I mean, a lot of dancers will, have a flask, you know what I mean, to provide alcohol to clients, you know what I mean? And it's just, and that's very common. And, because it's like these guys, sometimes guys come in sober not realizing you don't serve alcohol, know? And then they want to leave. They're like, because it's just like, it is a kind of place where alcohol is just an ingredient to make the experience what it is,
That's what alcohol does.
Yeah.
It loosens you up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, like stripping has suffered because they don't serve alcohol at clubs, and that's
in LA. That's a California law.
It's a California law. And it's weird. California is so liberal in so many ways, but it's really puritanical when it comes to prostitution and strippers.
That's so interesting because I've been to strip clubs in Maryland and Georgia, and they all served alcohol.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. I always thought that was weird that, I think even New York clubs serve alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in LA, but then again, maybe it's just, I'm just not in that group anymore. But
Sure.
maybe when I was like 21, 22, be like, hey guys, we're legal, let's go to a strip club. I mean, I kind of did wonder, I was like, oh yeah, I wonder why there isn't that like under, that like, oh, it's a thing to do in LA. And I just realized, because they don't have liquor licenses. Because if you go, it's literally just to watch entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not to like have a full strip clubby experience. Huh. That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I because I'm not in that world, I can't really lend an opinion from one to the next. I don't run a strip club business. I'm also not
have an opinion.
I'm not a
I'd be
lawmaker either.
Yeah.
My whole thing, I would just think, oh, that sucks that if you were a business owner, that you have to choose one product over another.
Yeah.
This either the entertainment or the alcohol.
Sure.
You can't combine them both. I just think that's annoying.
Yeah.
I would, if that was the type of business I was trying to get into, I would just move to another state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go where the love is in all your affairs. Go towards people that love you. Go towards jobs that love you. Go towards states that love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And but also, do you think that the regulations in California are a lot more because California is known for like pornography and for a lot, and also trafficking? We talked about this.
Oh right,
apparently,
trafficking.
Sex trafficking is huge in LA.
Oh yeah,
I did not know this.
Okay, it's so easy to traffic someone.
Why? How?
Because, well, one, there's a lot of evil people out there, and then two, there's a lot of dumb women out there. That's the thing.
Which I'm also like. Also, everyone's kind of good looking, and it's show busy, and so people don't know what to look for.
Exactly. And so I actually did a vlog about my human trafficking. So basically, I worked with a girl who was trafficked, and I was actually the person to find out she was trafficked, and I had to report it to their manager. And so
trafficked, like what? She's just a waitress. Like, how does someone fall into that type?
Okay, so she was from Hawaii.
Okay,
and she was just 18 years old, like just 18, just dumb. Just you wouldn't believe.
Innocent.
Yeah, innocent. But also like fourth grade education.
A little stupid.
Yeah, really dumb. But she just met this guy online or something like that. Like I don't know. She met a guy online. He said, you're so beautiful. I can make you a model. Just come to LA. You can stay with me, sleep on my couch, and I'll get you connected with people and stuff.
Oh Lord Jesus.
And he sent her a ticket. She got on the plane. Went to, and then all of a sudden, like, give me your phone. You can't talk on your phone in front of people, And
took her phone, took her driver's license, took her ID,
took everything. And she was like living with him. She was sleeping with him. Like she was, it was an apartment building in Santa Monica. Just like she was somebody's neighbor. It was happening.
How does he pimp her out though?
He would drive her to the strip club.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and pick her up. And so it was funny actually, and it was funny how she told me, because she was so dumb, she didn't know she was trafficked.
Wow. And she was like, my boyfriend's gonna pick me up in a couple
of
hours.
Exactly. It was just like she didn't know. So she was just like, so we were talking, and so she was like, okay, so it's not abuse, but what do you call it when you are living with a guy and he won't let you leave. He won't let you talk to his parent, like your parents, unless he's in the room with you, and he takes all your money. Just like all of this stuff. She just laid it all on the floor for me. And I was just like, you are trafficked.
That's imprisonment.
Trafficked. Yeah, you're trafficked.
You're in jail.
That's what's going on, Gigi. And it was just like. And so I told the manager. The manager knew what to do. The next day she went back that night, but the next day she came back. She brought as much stuff as she could. She couldn't bring her phone, so she lost her phone. And
it'll be outdated in 6 months anyways. She'll get a new one.
She found a place to stay. I called her an Uber. She just left the club that night, and I think she went and she found another place to work.
Great.
Yeah, because she couldn't work at that club anymore.
Because he knew where she would be.
Yeah, exactly. So she, I don't know where she went to go stay. I think she might have found another guy to stay with.
Oh no.
Well, it wouldn't be somebody who would take her phone, So that was, and so she got back to Hawaii. She and I are Instagram friends. I could show you her picture.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, Gigi, I know so much about you.
Yeah, I know.
But it's nice that there's a happy ending there.
Yeah.
Because not all of them end up so happy.
I know. I mean, that's the problem with it, though, is that it's like you wouldn't think that these girls are trafficked because it would all seem very consensual. That's her.
Yeah, they just seem like they're all in abusive, controlling relationships. Is she setting her hair on fire? What's going on?
No, I think she's lighting. What is that? Meth? What is that?
Oh Lord.
What is she doing? No, it's a joint. It's a joint. Okay, so she's.
Well.
She
She's pretty. She is pretty.
She was very beautiful. She's very beautiful, but just dumb.
Well, she made it home safe.
Yeah.
And in one piece.
Yeah, she did. So, but she got trafficked. That's trafficked. And
do you feel like you were ever at risk of being, I don't know, abducted or trafficked? Or you seem like a very smart girl, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You got street smarts. Like, ain't nobody want to try to mess with you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I think women that get trafficked are very naive, very dumb, don't check the facts, that sort of thing. Right. Don't screen people, Well, I mean, there was this story a couple of months ago, this Italian model, and actually this is like a situation of like total victim blaming, and like they just completely blamed the victim. And so she was trafficked. So this Italian model, like she got a modeling job in Ukraine or wherever, you know what I mean, seemed legit. She went down there. It turns out they were traffickers. So after a few weeks, she went shopping with them. She went grocery shopping with them because she's brainwashed. She's scared of them. They're her, you start to, they're the people feeding you. They're the people, giving you clothes. They're the people giving you shelter. You know what I mean? So after a certain time, you know what I mean, of being scared and alone, you start to appreciate that, Right.
It's that, what's that term when you fall in love with your captors?
Yeah, Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah. Just like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, so this woman, there was footage of her going out shopping and just going out the town with this guy that trafficked her. And it's like, and then so when she got back to Italy and she like reported them to the cops, like she explained what the situation was. She had a son, and so they don't traffic women who have children. Right. So that was her loophole out of there. Wow. And so she reported it to police. She told them everything, and then the footage came out of her of her just hand in hand shopping with her captor, And then so everyone saw this footage and was like, and was suspicious of her and questioned her victimhood.
It discredited her.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like when that's how trafficking works. Like these women, like there's, the whole thing with like the Russian, mob and stuff and trafficking. I mean, a lot of those women are trafficked. You know what I mean? They don't know how things work. They don't know that they get a paycheck. It's just. They don't know how things work. They'll believe whatever anybody tells them and stuff. And then also, the way that it works is that they're not very bright, and so it's just, but they're slaves. They are, they're enslaved. And, this kind of behavior probably dates back to, American slavery, you know what I mean? Where it like, there would be a little old lady slave master with this like big guy, you know what I mean? Who could be a linebacker, and the linebacker, if he had a chance to escape, he wouldn't, He like
psychologically they're attached to
exactly
Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah. And wow. The fact is that, tons of black people fought in the Civil War, for the South. You know what I mean? It's like people.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah. And you don't blame those people, Yeah. But it's people do,
Right. People have voted against what would appear to be their own interests in the election. I don't know what comes first when it comes to social values or financial, but when I hear of like someone who's gay or someone who's Latino who was like, voted for Trump 2020, I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. What?
I know what you mean.
Or like when Caitlyn Jenner was like supported, like he was a Republican, I was like, you're Republican because you have money. That's why. You're not Republican because you like agree with the party line when it comes to LGBT rights, of which you are a member. So it just depends on what people prioritize.
Yeah. Well, I think Caitlyn Jenner, had good intentions because I think she wanted to be like the advocate and to be the spokesperson. She wanted to, be the person to be in Trump's ear, about trans issues.
You can't reason with crazy though.
And so I think she was, really disappointed about that. I think there was something happened with bathrooms or something where she was, felt really betrayed, that she wasn't being listened to and stuff. And so. But I do think she had good intentions,
I think everyone has good intentions.
Me too.
Everyone believes that they're fighting the right side of history. So
Yeah.
Josh just gave the blowjob signal, implying that we need to get closer to our microphone. I literally was like, Josh, we just met. Not yet. Okay. Later. How did you end up getting into stripping as this is a viable career option?
Well, to be honest,
Yeah.
I had always thought about it. I think I thought about stripping when I was 16. As
stripping or dancing?
Dancing
Oh.
or stripping. And so I think when I first got the idea for it, I saw Striptease with Demi Moore.
I like that movie. I thought it was funny.
I think it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie.
I think it's a fun
but
movie.
It does glamorize stripping.
It does.
And so I was.
Well, there's a whole situation with a gun and
Yeah.
and kidnapping.
Yeah.
And, her daughter and
Yeah.
I don't know how glamorous.
Yeah. But it's not like women are like getting dressed up as full on cats.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like
Yes.
wearing those like costumes and like coming up with these huge like huzzah routines. You know what I mean? It's not like that.
Yeah.
But
She did look amazing in that movie.
she looked fantastic.
Yeah.
That was she
Just
was
a
at her
G-string.
she was at her most beautiful.
She was at her prime.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe it was Rumor Willis. I can't believe I can't believe her daughter was in that movie.
I mean, well, that's an interesting thing because like is that child abuse? Like
I don't know.
no, because you remember that Britney Spears performance with Madonna where they made out and stuff, and she kissed Christina Aguilera, she kissed Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Well, Madonna, like Lourdes, like she was in the performance and she was there, and she saw that and stuff like that, and I just think that like seeing your mother kiss two people that aren't your dad, and
that's not child abuse. That's just because.
Is that?
I don't know if it's the best thing to expose your child to, but from a legal standpoint,
Yeah, it's not child abuse.
I don't think there's any standing there. But I mean, I don't know how Madonna prepped Lourdes. Did she talk her through like this is what mommy does? This is what I don't know. Like if I were like there would just be certain things that I would keep my child from, like I'm an actor. If I ever had a kid, I would never bring my kid to set the day that I have a sex scene. You know what I mean? I would never want it. Would just be something.
Well, what do you think about like that drag kid? What's his name? He's really controversial right now because he was at a gay strip club and he did a routine at this club, but he was like 10 years old.
I don't know of the story, but it's controversial because he was so young. He
was so young, and then they had and he was doing like a burlesque striptease, in this cage with a pole, and grown men were throwing money at him. And then all of these people reported the parents to Child Protective Services. And then the parents were like, don't tell us how to raise our son, and that sort of thing. And so the son identifies is trans and stuff, and he's like, but it's like,
yeah, but
it's wrong.
Does he identify as a sex worker?
No, that's the thing. Like
trans is one thing. Sexual identity is or gender identity is one thing. To me, that just seems a little reckless. I think that's my phone buzzing.
Okay.
I think this seems a little reckless. It's sort of like, there's a reason why you have to be 16 years old to drive and 18-year-old to buy a gun.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he got into that club, but
that's the thing. Like it's very shady. It's very very shady. And but like people
and to record that and to put it out there.
And like it was.
I'm trying not to judge, but
if
you were to ask my opinion, I would disagree with that decision. But it's not my life.
Right.
I wish them all the best, and I hope that that the kid adjusts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like for me, like I feel like I don't think parents should there should be a place for kids who are gay to be transitioned out of being gay. You know what I mean? What are those places called?
Oh,
conversion therapy.
Conversion therapy camps.
Like I don't think
that's abuse.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like I'm against that. I don't think that's a healthy thing to do for children.
For sure.
And so it's like on the other end of things, I don't think putting, your kid on stage where a bunch of grown men who you don't know who these men are. Some of them could be, I mean, not some of them, but like what if one of them is a pedophile? You know what I mean? And so like have them throw money on this little kid, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm I'm just against hurting kids, and I'm against things that hurt children's psyche, and I'm against things that are like will affect children later as adults, and they'll see the world. You know, I mean, if you're sexualized at 10, it's very easy to keep that mindset going,
Right.
you know, and I know that for me, like being sexualized young, you know, like my sexual identity has been, you know, more prevalent than what's been healthy, you know, and so I definitely don't think that was right, but it's just like, I mean, it's about protecting kids, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter who the kids are, it doesn't matter who the parents are, you know.
Yeah, it's about I understand. I just, as you were talking, it just made me think, though, how would you regulate that? Because then could you argue like the John Benet Ramsey thing? I mean, these are like 6-year-old girls doing like little burlesque, big hair.
Oh my gosh!
Boot,
and I would love
dances.
to do that with my kids. I would totally.
That's
do that.
interesting. Now, where's the fine line?
Well, I wouldn't be like giving her Red Bull, you know what I mean, and apple juice
Right.
to make sure she had energy and stuff.
Sure.
Like as long as she was having fun,
but just because,
you know, and as long as it was about getting dressed up and performing, and you know.
So just because dollar bills aren't being thrown at your daughter, you'd be like, that's okay. But because this guy was in a club and dollar bills were being thrown at him, because he probably would say that he was having fun and getting dressed up. You see how the lines are a little blurred? I'm just trying to look at the issue at all sides. Because how would you regulate that? You know, what you would have to, because laws are usually, they're about injury. So like what injury was done to this child that is quantifiable?
Well, that's interesting because
he probably is mentally fucked up,
right?
Yeah, mentally scarred. But
then you're right. Going back to Toddlers and Tiaras, like there was an episode where this woman dressed up her daughter like Pretty Woman. You know, like the white belly top and the blue.
No.
Yeah, with the like the thigh high
Poor
boots.
taste.
Oh, it was horrible. And the little girl was like a little girl, you know, like 4. And it was like it was disturbing to see that and stuff. But everyone laughs. Everyone thinks that's brazen and ridiculous and scandalous and stuff. But nobody's like reporting that mother to Child and Protective Services. But so maybe it's not that I have an issue with the boy doing drag. Maybe that's just he needs to be himself and he needs to express himself. But it's like but if there's a place where he can do that with other kids, you know what I mean? And have a competition with other kids where the people that are watching them are all parents, you know what I mean?
That could be it. Because you said it's about protecting children. You're like, well, what if there was a pedophile in that audience?
Yeah.
So I think really what you and probably other people were upset about with this boy in this situation was what he was, the predators that he was potentially being exposed to. Whereas on Toddlers and Tiaras, safer to say that these kids, while you could argue that these dances and clothes can be tasteless, you're not putting them at physical risk when it comes to the people who are watching these dances, like the judges and the other parents and the other kids and the crew, versus a strip club, a little seedier. That probably is, if we were to get to the root of why people and you were upset, that probably was more
so like a drag show for kids, you know what I mean, where kids can compete with each other
at your
and
local
sort of
Montessori
that's
talent
fine.
show. That's
probably
fine with just parents,
with parents and friends
and teachers and the
teachers.
principal and the school superintendent for sure.
I would be for it as long as it's healthy and positive and no money being thrown or adults in a bar,
pedophiles in the audience
exactly
at that school auditorium.
But if I want to dress up my daughter like a cowgirl and put her on stage so she can dance to Shania Twain and
more
stuff,
power to you both.
I know. I want to be like the mom, like doing the dance in the audience with like the camera and stuff like that.
You need to be on Real Housewives. You would. That's what is it Danielle Staub, who by the way has a sex tape. She's like always like parading her children up on stages.
Oh really?
Stuff. Yeah, I don't know why I singled her out. I feel like they all do that.
Single parents?
No, not single. I said I don't know. I singled her out. Danielle Staub. She's I don't even know if I'm saying her name correctly. She's just someone who I don't really watch show. I like catch an episode or two here and there just to sort of like keep tabs on pop culture. But I'm like, really. Do you feel like stripping is something that you plan on doing for a while, or are you trying to see like do you see an end game?
I need to get out of it. When the time comes, the time will come and stuff. It's just I'm not there yet. I'm probably going to be there for another year.
When it feels right, you'll know.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like I worry. I have to admit, like I love how dangerous it is. I love the dark the dark night of it,
How's it dangerous?
because I mean, well, the thing is that you're going out scantily clad, half naked in front of all of these dudes. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly,
right.
exactly. And so, and then also it's like there's some daring in it and stuff. And so, I don't know. Like I think like I'm sort of transitioning with comedy. You know what I mean? Because comedy is dangerous and comedy is a risk.
Yeah.
And comedy is. So I guess like I'm just sort of doing it that way. And so whatever.
The profession goes hand in hand.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Just a different plug.
Lots of people have said that to me, that strippers and comedians are very similar.
Yeah, expose ourselves, vulnerable.
What do you think about domestic violence as far as like it's not portrayed in the media? You know what I mean? And awareness about same-sex relationships and domestic violence isn't really something that's heard of or seen, because I didn't see it until I was in a survivors group with it. You know what I mean?
You mean specifically same-sex domestic violence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Because there hasn't been like a Lifetime movie, you know what I mean, about it. And
that's interesting.
And so I wonder like what the differences are. Like do gay people not stay as long in these relationships, or like do they not, like, gay marriage is still pretty new, you know what I mean? So it's like you hear stories about like, women coming out of marriages after 30 years of being abused. You know what I mean? Like, is that going to be something we're going to start seeing in 30 years from now? Or like people were like trapped in marriages and stuff?
Because people are in long-term relationships now, whether they're married or not. And abuse still definitely happens. I think...
Well, did you see Rocket Man?
I didn't get a chance to see it. I heard it's great.
It is great. Yeah.
Heard it's fun. Love Elton John.
There is a scene of domestic violence in it where his boyfriend assaults him. So, I mean, you see that, with him and stuff, but he's not really a domestic violence, advocate. He's more about other things.
I think he probably... Yeah, I did not know that about him.
No.
Probably because he doesn't speak on it, because he wants to probably put it in his past. But in the same way that like Rihanna, I don't see her talking at
Sure,
because and that was a very public case of domestic violence.
Well,
and I'm sure that's an embarrassing part of her chapter that she just doesn't
exactly. It's
either.
embarrassing, and then also
Madonna also abused.
Oh well, the thing is that we can't actually say, we had to say allegedly abused. If we don't want a certain someone to sue us. So Madonna was allegedly abused by Sean Penn.
Right.
And it might have happened, it might not have happened, but common knowledge on the situation was Sean Penn had
tied her up
for I think 3 days. It was a long time, and assaulted her, and she managed to escape because he would let her go to go use the bathroom.
Right.
And so when she went to go use the bathroom, she just took off and ran and escaped. But then weeks later, she's like seen having lunch with her, ex-husband, and being Madonna, because it's like people like Rihanna and people like Madonna want to be Rihanna and want to be Madonna. They do not want to be that woman in the picture with all those bruises.
They don't want their identity to be wrapped up into that.
And it's like, and so so it's coming from a place of shame, it's coming out of a place of, I'm Madonna, I'm Rihanna, I don't, this stuff doesn't happen to me, and it's, and it does, it does happen to these women, but they never really speak on it. I don't think Rihanna's ever really spoken about it,
I can't think of anything. I think she tries to speak by example, or look, trauma is processed differently by everyone.
Yeah.
And so these women clearly dove into their art.
Yeah.
And used it to create more work. Whereas you have someone like who I met recently who was really cool, Lorena Bobbitt. She has a series on Amazon right now.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
It's great. It's called Lorena, and she was definitely a victim of domestic violence, and one night she snapped after a marital rape, similar to your situation is, and she cut his dick off.
Yeah.
And it really goes into, it's fascinating because we were all very young when it happened, but it's very interesting rewatching all of this. It's very interesting. It's very interesting rewatching all of this and just seeing kind of what how the culture responded during that time. Mm-hmm. But I met her at an Amazon event and just had a quick conversation with her, and she has definitely held on to the identity that was bestowed upon her because of this media story.
But you kind of have to.
Well, she also wasn't an entertainer. It's sort of like, what else could she really be known for? Whereas someone like Madonna, Rihanna, you know, that's it's almost like a blip in their career because they are such public figures and they do other things. They get to put it behind them. But I think Lorena, for someone who never intended to become a public figure, she really took lemons and turned them into lemonade.
That's really cool.
So
I should really watch that.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's a 4-part documentary on Amazon.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. It's amazing. She's very, very sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
John keeps on, according to the documentary, she has letters from him. He has constantly, because he went on to abuse like 3 or 4 more women.
Oh my
like
gosh.
tied up strippers. I mean, he was a bit of a disaster.
Gosh.
So he was acquitted for whatever the charges were, and she was acquitted as well for malicious wounding.
Good.
But he went on to have more partners and wives and abused all of them, and then tried to circle back to, you know, he did some porn, and he tried to circle back.
He did porn?
He did. It was interesting.
He doesn't have a dick.
No, he does. He does have a dick. And I think that was why he did the porn. He wanted to show that it still worked.
Oh. Well, that's one reason to do porn.
It's interesting. Yeah, I think he lost an inch off of it lengthwise, but it definitely I mean, I watched out of sheer morbid curiosity.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
think that's why a lot of people would.
I was like, that it works.
It works.
Yeah, go to Pornhub.
How about that?
Look it up.
John Bobbitt?
Just John Bobbitt porn. Google it.
Oh.
John Bobbitt. Yeah, it'll probably, I forgot what it's called. Maybe if you like look up the title of the video. But it's I feel like I felt like I was watching a nature documentary when I was watching that.
No, you know, I might have to like monitor myself this week. I watched the most disturbed. Okay, do you watch The Spanish Princess?
What is that?
It's like this show on Stars. It's like this chick flick show about
no,
like.
I was like, I'm sorry, is that a style of porn?
No, there was this horrible beheading in it, and it's like this chick show. You know what I mean? Where it's like there's like women are like, follow your heart and you know, and do the right thing and stuff, and don't worry about these laws, because if you follow it's like one of those shows, you know what I mean? It's about following your heart. And then there's like this horrifying beheading scene in it where like this guy, and it shows everything, and it like shows his face as like they're chopping his head off. You know what I mean? And I was just like screaming, like just like, and my roommate was just like laughing at how like upset I was and stuff. And so like I think like because I have to protect myself and that sort of thing. Yeah, and so it's just like if I see I have to see a certain amount every week, you know what I mean, just where I work, and just what's on television and stuff and what's in the news. So I just try and like I try and watch a lot of Friends and a lot of The Office and just like
the comedies.
You know, and like sometimes after shifts, like I watch Disney movies sometimes after shifts, like, you know, just to kind of, you know,
detox.
Yeah, exactly.
Unwind.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess this is our time. Is
it over?
It
Yeah, we had so much fun.
Thank you, Hank.
5 hours flew by in no time.
Okay. God. Well, that was Hank Chen. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Any shows? Anything coming up? Or?
As of not right now at the moment, just, you know, it's summertime. Nothing's in production.
Just got back from your little performance in Washington, D.C.
I was in Washington, D.C. for and the microphone's ready to play too. I was in Washington, D.C. for Pride, performing for the Wanda Alston Foundation fundraiser. They're a great organization that's been around for 10 years, and they provide housing and resources for homeless LGBT youth in the DC area, and it's incredible. And it was an honor to be there. And yeah, wow, it's the 26th. This Pride Month is almost over. As I joke, I was like, I cannot wait for July so I can become manic depressive again. You know, just so much excitement has been going on in the last 60 days. Are you gonna have a good week? Yeah,
I am gonna have a good week, and I'm gonna watch the Lorena Bobbitt thing. That sounds really good.
I mean, when you're ready, because it seems like you've already gone through some trauma with the Stars thing.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I kind of wanted to do a full vlog on it. It's just like, you know what, women don't like violence that much. You know what I mean? Don't keep that out of our television shows. You know, we don't need to see a beheading. We don't need to see a guy's head being chopped off.
Well, put it out there. See what the response is.
I wonder.
You never know.
What do you think, ladies who watch this, whoever you are? Oh, should beheadings be in women's television shows? Yes or no?
Curious minds want to know. Comment below.
Okay, well, that was our show today. Thank you for watching the Manic Pixie Dream podcast, and I will be here in the next few weeks. Goodbye.